folks. So on behalf of myself and Rima, thank you very much for agreeing to spend some time with us this afternoon. So we work within the Copilot engineering team, and we work with customers and have been doing so for the last 2.5 years, helping them build Copilot agents, whether that was from the first plugins through to some of the pro code agents, onto Copilot Studio, and then on with all the new exciting things that are coming. We generally spend most of our time with customers building agents, really learning kind of at the coalface, and then providing feedback back into engineering to improve the product for everybody. So I'm based in the UK and I run a team of folks covering Europe. Rima, quick intro from you.
Yeah, so yes, I work with Lester. We are an agent building SME team. That's what I do most day in and day out. I'm based out of the Washington, D.C. metro area. So Darian, we've got a lot to talk about because you're in Baltimore, so same place. And so, yeah, like this is a huge passion for us. We love AI, we love agents, and we're so excited to actually be here and talk to you about what we have to show you and what's coming up next.
Cool, thanks, Rima. So here's hopefully you can see my my slide. Can everybody see my slide, the agenda? A thumbs up with that?
Yeah. I can see it.
Excellent.
Yeah,
see it. Just normally jump into there, but that's good. You can see it there. So here's the agenda for today, basically. So this is really around how we can drive adoption and get more usage and help you get usage of agents within your organizations. Because one of the things that we've learned is that when the majority of the users start using agents, it actually generates a flywheel of interest and of new and more exciting scenarios. And many of those basically may need a bit more technical support and get going. So I know it's a very technical audience we got here today, but I ask you to kind of think about this as a way of really laying the groundwork for success in your organization, and that can then effectively drive up more usage and more exciting things for you to build and work on. So we'll just do a quick level set on M365 agents, and then we want to really talk about how do people find agents, where do they get them from. Rima's going to take us through creating agents using the templates and the new things that we have literally shipped over the last few days, which is nice to get an early view on that. I'm going to take back a little bit of discussion around instructions, what we've learned from there. We'll really leave you some hints and tips, and then some of our thoughts around driving adoption, what's worked for us, and really a kind of next steps and call to action. So if I think about this, let's have a quick level set on M365 Copilot. So, as I said, I know it's a very technical audience that we have today, but we're going to talk here today about sort of agent builder and some of the templates, and it's about laying that groundwork. So our work with customers over the last couple of years has really helped us understand that when people are using agents in their day-to-day life to help them in the work that they're doing, it really helps spark new innovations and new thoughts around how to use agents in more impactful areas of their business potentially. So those thoughts become more complex, and that's when they reach out to the kind of technical folks we have on the team to help them kind of plan those agents and how to run through them. So we see customers where they've rolled out kind of simple personal and team agents, and those customers are doing really well because that sort of layering of how to use agents at the kind of groundswell level is really then building a great foundation to see how they would use agents in more complex parts of their business. So let's start with a quick level set on this. So from a Microsoft 365 perspective, I think it's still really a level set for most folks. If it's new to you, we've got some great documentation for this. So, for M365 Copilot is based on large language models, effectively providing that kind of intelligence underneath it, surfaced within the Microsoft 365 application ecosystem. So if you build an agent, you can then surface that in Word or in PowerPoint or Excel. So you've got the agent doing the work where you want to do it. It's really grounded on the kind of Microsoft graph, so it has access to M365 data, things like SharePoint, Teams, chats, people information, and data like that. And then also connecting to Dataverse, the data set, and finally connecting off to the web. So, effectively, the M365 Copilot itself is pretty much grounded in your working environment and is giving you a load of information and helping you to answer questions and queries. When we think about agents, though, we're kind of looking at the concept of, well, what about if we could customize this? So it's great that M365 Copilot has the breadth of knowledge and breadth of experience, but maybe we want to customize this and we want it to only look at a specific set of SharePoint data, or we just want it to look in emails rather than Teams chats. So if we think about that customization perspective, what we're also thinking about is how do I modify the behavior of M365 Copilot that really makes it more special and makes it more relevant to me and to my users. And that's really where we get into this whole idea of this concept of agents. So, as you say, employees basically have the Copilot, but effectively agents are more aligned to the business processes and can be transformed by them. So, we see people doing interesting things like where they're doing kind of invoice to PO processing. It's a standard thing that most people have to do. You raise a purchase order, and then basically people raise invoices against them. So actually starting to use an agent that has a little bit more information about the structure of your purchase orders and the structure of the invoice and try to match them up together can help you basically process those. So maybe you have those in a SharePoint site somewhere and you're effectively looking to do some processing from that point. So again, the agent is more around that bringing together of kind of information and skills to make something that you actually can use in a more personal and tailored fashion. So if we think about Copilot agents themselves, what we're really looking at here is the world to be able to extend the Copilot capabilities. So we could give it access to business type knowledge. We can give it access to basically business applications it might need to talk to, or we're effectively scoping down the types of data that it can have access to. So, if we had a SharePoint site that had a bunch of standard operating procedures on it, maybe for, operating some certain sets of machinery, we probably want to make sure that that agent is just scoped to using that information to answer the questions. We wouldn't want it going off to the web and finding information that we haven't looked at and worked on ourselves. So, it's either around adding new capability to our agents, or it's about really scoping down the data that they're working off so we have more control over the types of responses that we're getting. So from an agent perspective, effectively, there's a spectrum of agents that we've seen, and hopefully many of you will have been looking or watching Build recently and have started to look at the concepts of some of the autopilot type agents we're talking at, which maybe sit on the right-hand side, where these are things that are running all the time. We have task-based agents where, again, they can be triggered by something happening and that task needs to be completed. And then sort of more retrieval type agents where maybe you're just going in to ask it a quick question. You want an answer to something formatted in a certain structure. So a retrieval agent would work quite nicely from there. So again, it's a continuum of capability where we look at here, moving from the sort of simple retrieval based agents all the way up truly to autonomous agents that may be trigger based. So an autonomous agent, an example of that may be an agent that's triggered on incoming email. You're asking it to triage the email and make some decisions based on the data that's inside there, and then kick off a set of workflows to process that. So it kind of, gives you a nice idea of how you can fit some of these things together. And then if we think about the continuum, as I said before, we end up with effectively a set of different types of capabilities. And the nice thing that we're going to talk to you about today is that, we've been working with customers for long enough along this journey that when we started to think about the types of templates that would make sense to help kickstart the usage of Copilot, we based our choices on those experiences and those workflows and those scenarios that we saw coming up time and time again in our customers. So Rima's going to take us through in a few minutes the types of agents that we built for you in templates, but be assured that all of these came from a point where we're trying to solve a problem that we see a number of different times and give customers a good starting point along the journey. One of the things you've got in there was effectively a lead generation agent, and it's a great way to look at that is to look at existing customer maybe, to look at your product portfolio and then turn around and say maybe these are some of the portfolios that could be relevant to that customer, and then to think about how you might tell the story to actually connect those together. So like we said, when you're thinking about agents, it's very much a continuum. It's a journey that we're all going on. Typically what we find is that kind of agents aren't built, they're kind of born and they grow, I think is what we see as we start to build an initial agent and we find out that actually let's morph that, let's add some more functionality to it. And I think the nice thing about it is that's fine and it actually works well to take that type of approach. If we think about what actually makes up an agent, and let's think about the bones of an agent. So at the bottom, they're sat on the foundational models, and those models do change over time. We basically will bring new ones in, as we see they're the right thing for this. On top of that foundational model, we typically have the orchestration layer. This is the thing that's building the plan. Once it understands what it is that you're trying to do, there's some understanding layer inside there. It's building the plan of what tools should I call, what knowledge should I use, how should I basically put this together to try and answer that user's query. So an agent also has knowledge. It has the things you're giving it, whether that's all of M365 or specific scoped information. It may also be Copilot connectors. So maybe you've got like a ServiceNow instance and effectively you've set up a Copilot connector. So you want to be able to search across the tickets that you've got and some of the how-tos in the knowledge database. Agents also are coming with the concept of triggers. When would you like this agent to run? And then adding things to it around actions, basically, as we get into the more kind of complex agents that can actually go and do things on your behalf. And they're following the workflow instructions. What are the step-by-step pieces that I need to work on? So in many cases, the kind of workflow instructions and the orchestrator go hand in hand, because those instructions are telling the orchestrator how you want the agent to be executed. So the nice thing about agents is that, we don't just have a single entry point. We try and provide tailored entry points for different types of users. So, for the end users, basically people using Copilot today, we provide a very powerful tool in Agent Builder. It's a nice to use interface, and we'll give you a demonstration of this later on, but it's actually got some nice helper capability part of this now. So, you can talk to it about what type of agent you're trying to build, and it does a pretty good job of trying to scaffold that for you. And against Agent Builder, you then get the simple sort of toggle controls of what type of data you want to add, what type of knowledge. For makers, those people that kind of want the next double click along the journey, we have Copilot Studio. And here you can get much more advanced. It's still very much in the low code capability, but it's in the high value. And you can do a lot of complex things inside there. And finally, you end up in pro code world, basically, maybe using some like Visual Studio Code or even Copilot Studio and Azure AI Foundry to build agents where maybe you've got more control over the models, you've got more control over the capabilities. So what we're looking at today really is just being clear, there is a continuum of capability, but what we're starting here really is thinking about how do we build that groundswell of usage? How do we get people used to using agents so that they feel more comfortable in sharing their ideas and their cool things they could do with these to really drive more value in the organization? So from there's a starting point with this, and whether you start with a pre-built agent. So the nice thing about M365 Copilot is we've set a set of pre-built agents there ready and waiting for you to use. You can literally, if your admin has enabled them or left them enabled, you can click that agent and start working with it. So that will give you the ability to pick up things like researcher, analyst, prompt coach, AI learning assistant that we'll talk about later on. So you can start with something that's pre-built, and that's a great place if your users have never touched an agent. Using one of these or trying something like prompt coach or learning coach is a great place just to go through that experience of installing an agent and starting to use it. What we're going to talk about today really is around building customizable agents from templates or even from scratch. So where this is more around building something. So maybe somebody likes the idea of one of the pre-built agents, but wants to customize it to their specific data set or their specific tone or their specific way of greeting them in the morning. So the nice thing around this is that we provide a set of templates, which are great starting points. And we also provide a set of examples that you can use to build your own agents. And I think we see that as end users become more comfortable building their own agents, they're starting to think about what else they can do with this. And finally, you've got kind of your own agent.
Oh, sorry. Yep. Can I add something really quick? So when we had the learning template, like the learning coach, just a general like learning one, I used to actually modify that to like fit my needs for like learning stuff on Microsoft Learn. This was before AI Learning Advisor came out, right? But I used to modify like that like learning template based upon like the specific topic I wanted to learn. That's also how I learned how to build instructions and like what worked and what didn't. So it's a really good, like fun way to kind of figure out like if there's something new that you want to learn, you really want to scope it, go take that template and go customize it based upon what you want. So you can do that with AI Learning Advisor, which I'll show you as well. So just wanted to share like a personal story around that.
Thanks, Naima. No, good stuff. So All right. So then if you want to find out about where do we find out about these agents, you asked me basically. So this is where we've got the agent store. So this is part of the UI. You go to Copilot, go to Microsoft Copilot, you click on agents on the left-hand side, and then you can navigate through the store. You can search through that. Basically, you can try and work out which ones have been made by us. You can look at ones where third-party agents show up. So your admin basically has control over what's inside there. They can choose which agents show up in that store. So it'll also be the place that if you start to build your own agents and you submit those to the administrator, those agents can also show up in this store for your team and those people basically to be able to use and work through. So, the agent store is a great place to go. It really is the front door for agents. It's where people can go. They get the feel that those agents have been trusted and they can pull those down into that capability. So yeah, it's a good place to start. Get people just to do a bit of exploration around the agent store itself. Okay, so hopefully that's given you a good level set. I know we kind of went at a fairly breakneck pace, but I wanted to make sure that we level set on this. We get a good idea of what agents can do. And I'm going to hand over to Rima, who's going to talk us through agent templates in Agent Builder.
Do you mind still like having control over the PowerPoint, Lester? Do you
Yeah,
care?
you just tell me to go forward, and
Yeah.
I'll drive it if that makes sense. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. So we have this product called Agent Builder, and Agent Builder actually sits within M365 Copilot. It's the place where you can actually turn any sort of personal workflow or any process that you have into a physical agent. You can actually create agents using natural language now, which is really nice. So what you see in the screenshot here is on the left-hand side, you have this like little chat that you can interact with, and you can actually tell it like what type of agent you want to build. It will go modify the instructions for you, which is really nice. I use it myself as well whenever I'm building agents, just to give me some ideas or to format instructions in a certain way. Again, have a conversation with it. Tell it what you want. Tell it what you don't want too. That's also super important. So that's where you can have a conversation within Agent Builder so you don't have to write instructions on your own. Personally, I am not an English major, so like writing, a ton of words on a screen is like not fun for me. So using this feature is super key and saves me a lot of time. You can connect agents into knowledge, into your own knowledge. So you can ground them in your emails, in your chats, in your SharePoint sites, also in external websites. If you like, you can actually link to an external web page. So let's say you have a reference site that you want that agent to go look at, you can absolutely do that. And it can respond with whatever context that matters based upon, the question that you're asking or the prompt that you're putting into the agent. And then you can test and share your agents with others. So let's say you've built an agent and you've tested it on yourself, but you're like, I really need to get some more insight from my team. You can absolutely share it with individuals or with a larger team, or you can actually submit it to the org admin to actually make it an admin enabled agent. We will show that too. But yeah, so it's a great way to sort of start small and then grow as you also grow your confidence with building agents. You want to go to the next slide? Thanks. So yeah, we've made some recent changes in Agent Builder. I know folks have noticed, and I don't know how many folks have used Agent Builder already. A thumbs up emoji in the chat. But we have simplified the first run experience of how you actually build an agent and how you bring an agent on like template into the fold. We also have improved performance, and we're trying to mirror what Copilot has in terms of a landing experience with Agent Builder as well. So it's really familiar. So it's not like a disconnected experience at all. Like I mentioned before, the natural language interaction of how you can build an agent has been optimized based upon customer feedback. We take that stuff seriously. So please, whenever you're interacting with agents or interacting with our products, we love the thumbs up or the thumbs down. Please give us that feedback. It really matters. And we've also added like other capabilities in agents as well. So you'll start seeing in Agent Builder some new toggles. We'll go through that as well, just to customize that experience and customize how the agent retrieves knowledge for you. You can also copy agents into Copilot Studio now. I know there's some excitement about Copilot Studio in the chat. I've seen that. Everybody loves Copilot Studio. You have a lot of power and a lot of capabilities in Copilot Studio, and now you can actually bring your agent into Copilot Studio if you need to level it up further. So you can connect it to custom data sources there as well. Again, you'll get the full suite of Copilot Studio once you move it over there as well. So let's go to the next slide. Yeah. Okay. So templates to get started. So Here's the fun thing. So I actually led the team that helped deploy these templates. And Lester also was on this team. So we actually worked together to release these brand new templates. So we have a set of 10 new templates, sorry, 5 new, well, lately. And so what you'll notice is you'll notice some like new templates in Agent Builder that are at the top. And we also have 3 of these templates available as first-party agents in the Microsoft Agent Store. So if you go to the App Store within M365 Copilot, you'll actually see there's 3 of these agents that are there that you can just click and deploy. You don't have to modify. You literally just publish them and you're good to go. I personally feel very connected to some of these because I actually wrote 5 of these myself, which makes me feel like, oh, this is so great. Like I just feel so like I feel so proud, right? It's like you built something and it feels good. I'm sure everybody else will feel the same thing when you first start building your own agents or even modifying agents. You feel like the sense of pride, like, oh, I did it. Like this is great. Like I created something. It's so cool and it works. So hopefully y'all feel that excitement too once you start deploying some of these templates. But essentially what happens is when you go to Agent Builder, you're going to go to the left-hand pane. And again, I'll show this to you as well, but you'll go to Agents, you click New Agent, and you'll see a set of agent templates there. They'll be the first set of agents at the top. You can click on whichever one you want. And then essentially it'll give you a screen where you can go modify instructions, modify knowledge, whatever you like. So, and there's more to come too. We'll talk about that a bit later. I'm going to go to the next one. So we still have a ton more templates that we've built in the past that are still amazing. I still use a lot of these, honestly. Career Coach is one of my favorite ones, to be honest. And also Learning Coach, obviously, as I mentioned before. Idea Coach is a fun one, and so is Prompt Coach. I think out of all of these, I believe I use Prompt Coach the most because it's really helping me learn how to write the right prompts, and it asks me questions about what I should include in my prompt. So out of all these, like again, like Prompt Coach, Career Coach, Learning Coach, and Writing Coach are really, and by the way, Idea Coach are the ones I use on a weekly basis for sure. But don't forget to check out these other templates. They have so much good information in them. They're so useful. We have a ton of use, like people are installing these all the day, all the time. So feel free to use these as well. All right.
I think the thing we're going to add to that as well is that some of these some of these agents we created as kind of out of the box. You can just deploy them and as templates, because what we've seen is that people wanted to try them with a very low path to entry. So they saw them inside the agent store. They would install them and start to play around with them, and they go, hey, this is really cool, but I'd love to be able to modify it to do X, Y, and Z. And that's why we see them as templates as well. That way, that people, if they like the one that's in the store, they can get the template, modify it for themselves, and really have a very personalized experience with that. Anyway, back to you, Rima. Sorry.
I love it. I love it. And Alex, by the way, you asked a really good question about, are these templates available within GCC? They're not out of the box in the UI. We are working on that, but I can definitely tell you the place of where these agents live, where you can actually go copy the instructions and actually do the same thing in GCC, so you can have the same experience. So I'm happy to share that after if you like, or we can tackle that on the end. But you can still get the same outcomes and still do the same thing within GCC. It's just a slightly different path. Okay, so Plan My Day is one that I also use every day because it's a great agent. Actually, one of our colleagues built it. This has been the most popular agent thus far. But essentially, Plan My Day helps you understand like what your day looks like. What are your key meetings? What happened overnight? Like, what did you miss? Like, what are the key tasks that you need to think about? It gives you like a 30, 60, 90-second rundown of what you need to look at. And I love how it also brings some like mental like health and awareness to the agent 2 meeting. So it'll tell me, hey, Rima, you are quadruple booked between like 1 and 2. You should think about that. Or hey, by the way, you have no breaks today. You should think about it. Like, oh yeah, like I should build in breaks. So I love this agent. It really kind of keeps things in perspective for me and helps level up like what I need to focus on. With this new AI era, there's so much going on all at once that it's hard to focus sometimes. And I'm also like, I have some like neurodiverse things going on too for me personally. So having an agent that helps me focus and helps me keep what's top of mind has been incredibly helpful for me. So again, this has been a really fun one. It helps you essentially reduce the time it takes for you to scan all your emails and all your chats to see what's missing, it'll roll all of that up for you. And what's really nice about it is that you can also schedule these prompts too. So you don't have to enter this prompt every day to say, hey, like, tell me what my day looks like. You can schedule it. It'll run at, a certain, let's say you want it to run at 9 a.m. every day. You can have that do as well. So that way you don't have to physically interact with it. It'll just do it for you. Now, next slide. Do we want to do the demo next, I believe? Oh, no, we're still going to talk about test. So we do have some test prompts included in here. So for example, if you just want the basic, here's what I want to find out, prep my day or plan my day is the easiest one. We do have a set of 6 suggested prompts already built into the agent, but if you want to go above and beyond that, here are some other ones that you can take a look at that are really incredibly helpful. So if you want to do testing to kind of see, does this agent really fit my needs? By all means, use these 15 questions. We get into it. So again, if you go to Agent Builder, you're going to go choose a template. So as soon as you go to New Agent, you'll see the templates at the bottom. You're going to go pick whichever template you want. As soon as you pick that template, it'll give you the instructions that it'll give you a screen where you can modify the instructions. We also have some guidelines that we'll include in terms of what instructions should look like. So you'll see we have a Microsoft Learn article that we've linked in the deck that talks about writing effective declarative agent instructions. We recommend to follow that. You can also ask, whenever you build your own agent, this is a trick I use, is whenever you ask the chat on the left-hand side to modify your agent, you can tell it to go reference that Learn article and tell it, hey, can you go match the formatting that's in this Learn article? And it'll go do it for you. So things that you can, tips and tricks of things that you don't need to do on your own, the agent will help you do. So the agent will help you build an agent essentially, which is, Once you have your agent finished and in a good place, there is an option called try it. You can actually try it directly within the window and actually try some of your prompts before you publish it or before you share it. And then once you feel like you're in a good place there, again, you can share with your colleagues. You can share it to anyone in the organization, which essentially means that the admin has to approve it, or you can share it to specific people. So, and all you do is just copy the link, paste in a Teams chat. They go click on the link and they just install the agent, and it'll follow whatever updates you make. So if you make an update to the agent, they should also get the updates as well. All right. Yeah, so we've got some. Oh yeah.
So we go the demo. Shall we do that?
Yeah, let's do it. I thought there was a slide in here that kind of broke it down for the demo. But yeah, let's do that. Let's do that demo before we go. All right. So right now I'm in M365 Copilot. Let me zoom in a little bit. And so here on the left-hand side, we have something called agents. This is a slightly new UX change that we've made. So we now have a flyout window where you can see any of the agents that you've built or any custom agents that you have. And here's where we're actually going to go click on new agent. And this is where the templates live. So when I go click on new agent here, you will see the templates here on the bottom. Sorry. My AC is blasting my face. So here we actually have all of the templates, and you'll see Plan My Day is actually at the very top. So we're going to go click on that one and go create that one first. All right. So wait, did I not? Okay, there we go. I was like, oh, did I not click on Plan My Day? So here you have Plan My Day. It's loaded. It's got a description up here. Again, you can modify it if you want to. You don't have to. And then we have instructions in here too. And so as soon as you click on the box, you can start modifying the instructions. If you notice, there's little hashtag symbols. Do you see how there's one hashtag, 2 hashtags, things like that? There's sometimes 3. This is a format called Markdown. It's still text. It's still English language text. All these hashtags really mean is section. So if you have 1 hashtag, it's a section header 1, 2 hashtags means section header 2, and 3 means subsection 3. So basically 2 hashtags nests under section 1. So it's I can do a nested sort of section or grouping within these agent instructions. And that really tells the orchestrator and the LLMs on basically, what do I do first? What do I tackle first? If I hit section 1, I have to go to section 1, but I've got these subsections that I need to look at. Let me go do that chunk first. And so that's why it's important when you write your Markdown to have everything really sectioned out and organized in a way that the agent can understand. So super, super important. So if you see that, don't be scared by it. It's not code. It's just Markdown formatting. If you want to make it bigger, because the screen is really small and I feel like I'm just getting older and I can't see things, Sometimes I like to make it bigger. So if you click on that little arrow, I'll do it again right here. There's like an arrow. You can pop it out and make it bigger and then click on it and then edit it that way. So again, if you have sight problems like me, by all means, go do that. Once you feel like you're in a good place with the instructions, and again, you can also ask the agent here on the left-hand side if you want to modify it. You can, you don't have to, but you can do that. Once you feel like you're in a good place, again, here's where the knowledge sources are. So if you notice, we have SharePoint, Teams, and emails because we want Plan My Day to actually look at that and actually tell you, like what files were edited, like what were you missing, what tasks, things like that. So make sure that these are all there. And if you notice here, like use only specified sources is toggled on, meaning only use the knowledge sources that we've actually outlined here. So that's super, super important. We have a new feature here called reference org chart and profile info. So this actually looks at like your people profile and also like other people profiles in the org. So it just gives you some more insights as to like if you're collaborating with someone or if you're looking up someone or if there's information that you have to send to your manager, it understands that out of the gate. So that's a really fun new and SME Finder actually relies heavily on this. That's a different agent template we're not going to talk about today, but that is a fun one that relies very heavily on this one. And it finds people that are SMEs within your org. If I scroll down, we have a couple of different capabilities enabled too. So this agent can also create documents, can create like some light charts, and also can create code if you want it. Some of us we're not that hardcore, but if you want to do that, it can. And it can also create images too. So this is a fun one. So it just depends on what you're looking at. If you want like an image to represent how your day is looking and maybe you're feeling a little grumpy, hey, sure. You can create an image that way too. Or my favorite is I love creating Golden Girls images of, based upon like what my mood is that day. So that's just like something fun I do for myself. Down below, you have suggested prompts. So these are the 6 suggested prompts I was talking about earlier. So essentially you have like, these are going to be those little tiles that show up that you can click on directly. You can add, I believe, up to 12, if I'm not mistaken, Lester. I think you can have up to 12 suggested prompts, right? Yeah. So if you want to add more, have at it, add more, add whatever your heart's content is, you can have, and you can also delete or reorder these if you like. I will say these suggested prompts that are in this agent were very specially curated specifically for this agent. So I would say start off with these, probably don't edit it yet. And then, later on, if you want, you can edit it or you can actually redeploy the template. Again, if you feel like you've gone down a path that you're like, I can't come back, you can always redeploy the same template and it'll keep the original settings. Once you're good, you can go to this preview section. Actually, it used to be called try it. Now it's called preview. And here you'll see your suggested prompts and you can actually interact with your agent again before you deploy it. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to hit create. And when I create this agent, it'll actually deploy it into M365 Copilot on the left-hand navigation. So you'll see it there. And the best way to do this is to pin it too. So let me go to agent here. Let's give it a second to load. There we go. So here, if you notice, here's Plan My Day. I'm going to go pin it just so I have easy access to it. And there we go. It shows up right here on the left-hand side. And so when I click on it, there we go. Emojis, by the way. So if you hate emojis, by all means, feel free to remove the emojis in the instructions. I like them personally because it helps me like visually like understand sections and what I'm looking at. But you can see here's the 30-second glance. It gives me the top priorities of like what I really need to focus on for today. And it just gives you again like the key things regarding to-dos, regarding prep, gives you a snapshot here of what my day looks like. And then it also gives me a snapshot of like what my next working day looks like. You have a longer read if you want like a fuller, like more detailed read. You have a 1-minute read. So if you scroll further down in the response, you actually get more and more detail. So like decisions and approvals, here's the deep read, urgent signals, what you need to do in the next working days, right? A lot of detail. There's a lot here. So and here's
just to add, yeah, I mean, somebody could just go into Copilot and say, hey, plan my day. But then the whole point about this agent is that it's very much structured in the way that Rima just explained. It's trying to put it so that you get that 30-second glance first all the time, because that's sometimes what people want. So the whole idea behind doing this as an agent is to have much more control and making it more personal of the way that it's structured. And of course, if you turn around and say, actually, I want the 1-minute read first, great, just change it around, the instructions, publish it, and rock and roll, and off it'll go. I think
Exactly.
it's a great place to learn about how to write instructions by find, a template that's close to what you're trying to achieve, and then start to read the instructions and go, hey, I get this now, I can edit it or generate a new one, and off I go from there.
Yeah, that's honestly, and I don't know about you, Lester, but that's how I've learned in terms of
Mm.
agent building instructions. It's really just looking at really good examples. I'm like, if this agent gives me exactly what I want, let me go see how it's written. What's the formatting? Like, what is it saying to do, not to do, things like that. Let's say you want to go back and edit this agent, you absolutely can. If you click on the three dots next to the agent and you want to go follow, like, Lester's advice and say, hey, I want to go change it, you go click edit here. It'll take you back into Agent Builder and actually go, I don't know what's on the three dots, it'll actually take you into the edit screen. If you don't have that, if you actually click up here, Agent Builder, I'm actually kind of glad this happened. So if you go to Agent Builder up here, this is like a little breadcrumb. It'll take you to all your agents. If you go to view all agents, you can actually see all the agents that you have. So I actually deployed this on Tuesday just as like a test. So you can see like that's my original version there. And then the one that I just deployed was 7 minutes ago. So you can deploy multiple versions. Obviously, we recommend to name them differently and also potentially have different icons. But if you have custom agents that or declarative agents that you've built, they will be in here. And so the trick is to go into Agent Builder to that breadcrumb. And then from here, again, you can hit the pencil icon and hit edit. And again, that'll take you to the edit screen and you can go edit your instructions and all that. And then one last thing regarding sharing, right, which was, I'm just going to go hit update again just to show you the share screen here. When you update it or whenever you deploy it first, you can go hit share. And this is where you can go share it with specific users or anyone in your org. Again, just depends, right? But if you have specific users, you can actually type in users here. Like I can go type in Kai Carter and she'll show up, things like that. So, and you just copy the link here and just paste it and share it with them. All right. Anything else that we need to demo about Plan My Day, Lester? I think.
No, I think that's it. We were just going to show people where to get AI Learning Advisor from. So I'll do that quick demo, and then we can cut back into the slides and talk through some adoption stuff, and then give some time for Q&A at the end. So, yeah. So like I said, thank you, Reba, for showing us how to use templates. I would strongly recommend everybody spend some time in, as your next coffee break, rather than kind of, taking a coffee, taking an email, just go into Agent Builder and build yourself an agent. That's really the takeaway from this. So you can have it done, like I said, it's 5 clicks, basically, just follow it through, pick the template, have a quick read, create, and then go and have a play around with it. Obviously, some folks want to be able to have an experience where they can just go to a store and try and pick things up. So here, for this account, you can see there's a bunch of agents that I've created along the way, or I've installed. And here I've got something called AI Learning Advisor. So this, instead of me having to go and build it as a template, if it's something that I want to try out, I can literally click it. It tells me what it works across, basically. Now, this agent is grounded purely in the web. So anybody that has access to M365 Copilot can use this agent. So, if you don't have pay-as-you-go, we don't have the licenses switched on, people can start to use this. So it's a great starting point to come in. So I can come into this, I can add it. And once it's added, you see it's come up as one of my agents, and it's brought the creator. So let me just say I want to create a learning plan, take me to my first use of Copilot Studio. And it's as simple as that. I go into the store, I pick the agent, I click open, basically, and that's it, I'm done. Obviously, if I want to try and work together to pin it, I can do that as well, as Rima just said. But this is a great starting point. So, encourage people to have a look at the agents that are produced by Microsoft in the agent store, install them, start testing with them. And if they come around and say, hey, I really like that Plan My Day or that AI Learning Advisor or that SME thing you've got in there, then I can go into Agent Builder and I can customize it and make it really personal for myself. Some of the other cool things that we wanted to show you as well is that basically we have got a fair amount of other information relating to using some of these agents. So we have another page which we'll give you a link to where for many of these agents like AI Learning Advisor, we've actually got, if somebody wants to go really deep behind covers, they can see exactly how it's been built. They can see all the instructions. They also get a test plan. So maybe it's kind of a nice thing to do that you can use some of these test plans to see, as we start to build agents, one of the things that we tend to really focus on is how to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So actually for us, it's quite important to build these. For anybody that's been working in Copilot Studio, you'll start to see these appear in those type of agents as evals. And this is really kind of like the kind of agent builder version of this, where you build up the question, you come with the expected response, and you go from there. So kind of moving back to the kind of slide web piece of this. So agent instructions, and I know we're kind of, I just want to point out that there's a great link here called Writing Effective Instructions for Declarative Agents. We'll paste it into the chat. I would strongly recommend that folks take a little bit of a coffee and point that at it, or go and build an agent and basically point it at that site. It's been updated for the later kind of GPT models. One of the things we saw as we moved to GPT-5 and 5 above is that kind of the reasoning slightly changed the model. So actually the way that you approach your instructions modified a little bit, but I would strongly recommend having a look at that guidance. And it really is boiled down to, your instructions are giving your agents its purpose. They're giving it its tone, how it talks, how it speaks. You're giving it a bunch of kind of guidelines that it needs to work around. And then you're actually giving it the things it can do. So Rima showed you how we were using Markdown in the instructions of the templates to basically produce separate capabilities. And that really gives you an idea to be super clear with your agent about what you expect it to do, and use that structured approach in writing it. So please take a time to have a read through, write the effective instructions. It's a great place, great resource.
Lester,
yep.
Let me add to you. I've used that article as well for Copilot Studio agents. So for those of you who love Copilot Studio and want to like write agent instructions there, definitely use that as a guide as well, because it's very helpful and it works. So just as like a side note.
And thank you, Rima, for pasting it into the chat. So folks, please grab that out of the chat basically, so that you've got that running. It's another kind of go-do to have a good read of that as we go through. So as I said, this is just giving you a kind of idea, but I guess you've got the kind of the kind of double dash here basically is really telling you that this is something that the agent needs to take care of and take a thought around as it goes through. So from the hints and tips bits, I think Rima's covered most of this off. Start with the template, we talked about sharing, we talked about pinning. One thing that we didn't talk about was about actually scheduling. So one of the things you can do with this, if you run one of your agents, and maybe you run Plan My Day, once you've run it, there's a little option here at the end of that where you can schedule that prompt. So you can turn around and say, hey, I actually want to run this every day at 8 a.m. and it'll run it for you. So it's kind of nice to be able to use that scheduling piece, that you could schedule the agent to run for you. That's a great hint and tip with that. Otherwise, the other thing we said is carry on being curious. That's always a good place to be. And lastly, we think about agent adoption. So this is a great site. We'll put the link in here in a minute. So for all of the newer agents we built, for those people that want to go kind of deeper and go behind the scenes a little bit, for each of those agents, there's a downloadable zip file that gives you a really detailed test plan. And that's the test plan that we used when we built the things, basically. So you're getting an idea of how we go through and build agents ourselves. The other nice bit about it is you get an overview deck. If you're looking at driving adoption, or you're trying to make people aware of what some of these templates or some of these built-in agents can do, the overview decks are great because they'll give you that kind of 2 or 3 slides that you need to be able to maybe send out. And we could give you some guidance here. Maybe you send this out basically in an email, but use the overview deck to produce some welcome messages. And one of the things that we do find customers doing is that maybe they'll target 100 users. And what they can do, one of the things that we didn't show you was in Agent Builder, once you've built your agent, you can actually submit it to your org admin for publishing. So one of the things you might want to do is work with the org admin. You pick 100 users who you're going to try this out with, and they can deploy those. So that agent is already there, pinned and deployed for those users. And then maybe you could have a feedback channel as they come through. So definitely worthwhile looking at. And one of the great ones that we found works very well with customers is start with Plan My Day. Push it out to a department, push it out to 100 users, start to get some feedback, and then think about where you might want to go further with this. So in addition to the templates, going to go backwards a little bit, we also have a bunch of agent examples. Again, for those people that are willing to kind of use Agent Builder but do a bit more copying and pasting, we provide a set of additional examples where you can go in, you can get the instructions, you can get the guidance, the knowledge, and work through them. One other thing that we've shared a few bits in these calls is kind of useful is if I take some of the example agents here, don't think about these things as purely kind of one-off type pieces. Think about where the agents that we have, either in examples or in Agent Builder templates, that can actually be used together. So this is an example of how, when we're thinking about new products or new capabilities, maybe we would think about using the product comparison agent to think about what else is out there that we may want to look at. Where's the gaps? Then we could use someone like Product Crafter to help think about what that product would be like. What are its capabilities? What is the spec of it? And then you might want to think with the marketing agent, well, how am I going to actually market this to people? Maybe I need some storytelling around the communications. Once I get something that's actually ready to go, maybe I need some training materials. Someone's got to sell it. So what I can do with the sales pitch, then maybe there's some negotiation I might want to have along the way. So these are all, they're discrete agent examples, but you could actually start to put them together into a little bit more of a powerful workflow of how you can run these together. Okay. So that's just some thoughts around this. So we talked about agent adoption, which is great. Basically, I'm going to hand back to Darian, and then we can go for the Q&A. Thank you.
GCC from, like, I know, just to answer Alex's question, I know I answered in the chat, but hopefully Alex, you saw it. But essentially for GCC, if you go to the HPA catalog site, if you just go to aka.ms/HPA catalog, you will see like a setup guide for each of these agents. In the setup guide, I actually have the entire agent instructions in there. So if you want to copy and paste those, and it tells you how to set it up manually, like if you want to just create an agent on your own, which you can do in GCC, you can create declarative agents. I would say follow that setup guide and you should be good to go because it'll have everything you need there, which is it's a copy essentially of like what's happening through Agent Builder anyway. So just as like an FYI.
Thanks. Also, I see someone asked, and again, I think this might be a Microsoft internal question, but are there office hours for M365 agent creation? Are there office hours for Copilot Studio builders? Do you know, Lester Rima?
Well, not 100% sure for internal folks. That would be a question to go and probably ask your kind of MSIT connection if they're running. I know they do run some of those, but I'm not aware of where they are, I'm afraid.
Yeah, same.
There's a question there about data sources, basically. So if you're using Agent Builder, yes, I mean, you have access to the data. Remember that the other thing that Agent Builder does have is access to any Copilot connectors that you've got deployed. So like I said, if you have the ServiceNow Copilot connector deployed and you've indexed your ServiceNow knowledge base, then if you're asking for questions around, hey, how do I order a new laptop or how do I change my password, all those kind of things, basically, then that agent can be grounded on that external knowledge as well as the M365 knowledge. So think about it as Agent Builder agents can be grounded on pretty much anything that you've currently got as a Copilot connector deployed into your tenant that the user has access to. So that's kind of where you go from there. If you actually want to get access to other types of data sets and you want to start driving actions and effectively making things more active, then you're probably looking at the world of Copilot Studio or things like Visual Studio Code and Agent Toolkit. Once you're in those worlds, then there's a large number of connectors. So Copilot Studio has a gazillion connectors to all sorts of different services for read and write. And if you're into Visual Studio Code, then you're into the APIs that you can call. And of course, the other side of the kind of kid on the block is MCP servers. So you have access to those as well. But that's kind of slightly outside of the Agent Builder world and moving more into the kind of Copilot Studio Maker world or the Visual Studio Code kind of semi-pro code world.
It was very helpful. I'm new to Microsoft, new to Azure and Copilot. So this was definitely helpful to understand the various options available and how to quickly build templates and also use the existing agents. I was working side by side as the screen was being shared. So thank you again. My question is that with a lot of options to choose from, I know there was a slide which said choose your path. For a new employee like me, what would you suggest my first step would be? Because there's just so much of information everywhere, and agent sprawl, if you will. How do I kind of streamline and optimize my learning?
Well, so one of the ones probably to do is fire up AI Learning Advisor and start to look at that. That's a great place for basically helping to provide you thoughts around it. I would definitely start with Agent Builder as a great way of just getting experience, because you can simply do that and build them and search amongst your colleagues. And then I guess it's, trying to understand the customer scenarios that you're personally going to be engaged with. And then from there, basically, kind of that's the conversation around, you start to pick up what's the right models, what are the right kind of frameworks that would be used. And there is a fair amount of guidance out on Learn about this. I mean, one of the nice things about Learn is there's actually an MCP server for Learn now. So if you do want to build a little bit more complex agent, you can actually connect to the Learn MCP server and use that to pull more data in. So yeah, I definitely start with AI Learning Advisor. I'd start with Agent Builder, getting used to that, and then starting to get a little bit more handle on the types of customer scenarios that you're being asked to work on. I hope that helps.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I would say like start with if any agent builder template that speaks to you, that maybe like you're like, oh, that sounds interesting, or that would help me on my day-to-day work. And then you can tweak it if you want and kind of iterate through it and see like what changes. Like, again, it's all about like testing. Like, when you make a change, test it, make another change, test it. And then once you feel comfortable with that, then I would say talk to Agent Builder and ask it, say, hey, I really want to create an agent to do this. Can you help me do that? Like, and see what it says. I always, whenever I prompt AI, I like to say, hey, engage in a conversation with me. Ask me the questions that I don't know, or tell me the things that maybe I'm not thinking about, and verify that with me and see what it comes up with and see how it scopes your idea out into an agent. That's also helpful too. And then once you get really, really familiar with that, obviously, then you can go into like, Copilot Studio and things like that. But I would say like there's so much power in Agent Builder today that I think you probably have a lot for the next couple of months in terms of like learning and in terms of like growing that way. So that would be my recommended path. And that's how I take other people too, who ask me about learning. I'm like, let's do this first. So.
Got it. Thank you. I'll try the Agent Builder and also the MCP agent through Learn. Thank you so much.
Yeah.